Mic isn't on. There it is. Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Y'allville Zoning and Design Review Board for Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. This calls the meeting to order. Would you help me with a roll call, please?
Board Member Cook?
Here.
Vice Chair Zagorczyk?
Here.
Chair Miller?
Here.
And noting for the record, Board Members Henthorn and Toposky are absent.
Great. Thank you. Would you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item that we're going to look at is the approval of the minutes.
Could you please adopt the agenda first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
They looked fine to me.
They looked fine to me,
Then
too.
I will move to approve the minutes of November 12th, 2024.
Excellent.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. Public comment on matters not listed on the agenda. Is there anybody? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Moving on. We have no presentations this evening. Oh, okay. Public hearing. Our first public hearing is an adoption of resolution number 24020, conditionally approving exterior design modifications to an existing residence at 1883 Heritage Way and finding the project exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act.
If I may interject.
Yes.
For the record, let it be known that members Henthorn and Toposky are absent this evening and have recused themselves from participating in this decision due to the subject property's proximity to their primary residences.
Great. Thank you.
So I'd like to introduce Carrie Svanstrom from Svanstrom Design Studios, who is a contract planner with the city. She's been here since earlier this summer when we started experiencing staff vacancies. Carrie is a very experienced planner and architect, and we're having her work on active projects where we're looking to fill those staff vacancies, and I am beyond thankful to have her, and she will be presenting the item this evening.
Excellent. Hello, Carrie.
Hello, good evening, board members, and I apologize that I could not be there in person, but I do appreciate the accommodation Hillary and Cami and Aaron are making so I could be with you. The item tonight, and I will start showing my screen.
We are not seeing it yet.
All right.
There we go.
Excellent. Okay. So the item before you tonight is design review for an existing single-family home. It is located in the Heritage Estates Master Plan Residential Community.
Carrie, may we just interject quickly? Is there a way to enlarge your presentation so that it is your full screen as well?
It looks like it's cutting it off in half.
Okay, let me try that again and see if we can.
It says, there we go.
There we go.
Double click for full screen. Beautiful.
Excellent. So again, this is an existing single-family home. They do have a valid building permit that they've been working on for interior home renovations, but they are wanting to do some exterior modifications. So the applications before you tonight are both the design review application for those modifications, as well as CEQA exemption under Section 15301, which exempts minor alterations to existing structures, and 15061B3, which is the common sense exemption, noting that it wouldn't have any possibility of having an impact on the environment in terms of CEQA. So a little bit of background on this. Heritage Way is part of the Heritage Estates Master Plan community. In the zoning ordinance, master plan zoning districts have the development standards approved through a master development plan. Improvements must then be consistent with that approval. And exterior modifications require design review approval. If there's something not in the master development plan, then it is subject to the regular provisions of the zoning ordinance, as well as the general plan. And I think one of the components to call your attention to in the general plan is Land Use Policy 2.1, Compatibility of Development, which requires that new development, remodels, and additions be of a scale, intensity, and design that integrates with the immediate neighborhood, the town as a whole, and the natural surroundings. So a little bit of background on the Heritage Estates Master Plan community. It was approved in the and built in the early 1990s. We have gone through the conditions of approval, and they were more or less the standard conditions of approval that you see on most projects, and did not talk about any specific style requirements. I do have a map on the screen that shows the general location of that. It is Heritage Court that goes down to the sort of pedestrian walk-through down at Larkspur Street, Heritage Way, and Vista Drive up to Faneuil Road. Although there is no clear specification in the master development plan for a specific style, there is a clear craftsman style to the homes in the neighborhood. And the staff report that you have in your packet did go into some detail about what was there and how some of the changes compare to that are proposed tonight. So the existing house is a one-story home in that style. The proposed modifications are shown below in terms of the colored elevations. Some of the changes are clouded with the red revision cloud, but the proposed modifications pretty much touch every surface of the home. However, there is no change to the square footage or the area. There's a couple of small minor deck expansions in the backyard and a new sliding doors on the west side of the home, which if you're looking at the screen is the right side over by the chimney, which are part of the existing building permit and have already been approved by prior staff. But other than that, there's no expansions. It's simply changing materials to the home. So I've kind of divided the changes into three sections. The first set, trim, picture windows, and the changes to the windows, trim work above the doors and the lighting, were all fairly consistent with a number of the other homes within the master plan zoning district within that neighborhood. So they are proposing to remove the archwork trim above the garage door and at the picture window, and replace those with just straight trim, changing the octagon window, which is the window between the garage and the front door, the smaller one, into a rectangular window, and then changing the windows throughout from double hung to casement. However, they are providing divided lights, and there's a detail of the windows proposed down at the bottom of the screen. And then existing lighting, they're proposing a little bit more modern exterior sconce, and those are at all the doors and the garage doors. Again, looking throughout the neighborhood, there are similar details, similar window styles throughout the neighborhood, and they are also consistent with the development standards. And so we kind of look at those as probably more minimal changes. The siding and the roofing, so they are proposing to change the narrow horizontal siding to board and batten, vertical siding. They're retaining the trim, and they are painting all of the trim and not having it be bare wood. They're also requesting to change the asphalt shingle roof to the dark gray standing seam metal roofing. These are sidings and roofing that are allowed within the design standards. However, they're not seen within the neighborhood. And so this is one where we're requesting the ZDRB review the elements for consistency with compatibility of development, the general plan policy. Lastly, there are a couple of elements which were originally submitted, which staff we did not feel was compatible with either the design standards or the neighborhood. They did have a fully glazed garage door and a fully glazed front door, and we did not feel the findings could be met to be consistent with the design guidelines regarding minimizing the garage and front glazing. We met with the applicants who are here tonight for any questions, and they have revised both the garage doors to just have the single to be solid with a single pane of light, divided lights at the top, and also to have a solid front door with side lights on either side. And so with that, with the discussion on the siding and the roofing, we are recommending that you approve Resolution 2420, which would find the project exempt from CEQA and approve the design review application with some key conditions. We did include in the conditions what we were originally thinking, which that the garage door be solid with a maximum of one panel of glazing, similar to the front door, that it be not fully glazed but limited in glazing. And one other detail, and I'll go back here, they are proposing that the columns on either side of the garage be removed, and that the tapered columns on either side of the covered porch be modified so that they're not tapered. They would be timber posts. Originally, they had thought that they would keep those as bare wood, but staff did feel that painting to match both the rest of the house as well as the other columns in the neighborhood would be more consistent. There are some homes, especially towards the east side of the development, that have straight columns, but they are painted. And so that was also something that we included as a condition of approval. And so I'm happy to answer any questions, but that is the sum of the presentation.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Carrie?
I do not.
Sorry. Yes. I had one question, and that is, are there other residences within this development that have been altered with any significance?
There is, and Aaron may know the address of it. There is further west, and actually I can, but it has a 2-story ADU addition towards the back. So of course ADUs are not subject to design review. So my understanding is that was a pretty major change, and it's actually under construction right now. That's closer to the west side of Heritage Way, right where at the corner of Heritage Court and Heritage Way. Other modifications, there are definitely places that have changed the windows. I did actually see the exact same casement with divided lights on the corner of Heritage Way and Vista Drive. But I don't know if there were any that were everything being changed to something else.
Michael?
I just had a quick question and clarification on the columns. So sorry if I missed it. You were recommending that the columns were to be modified but painted, or unmodified and painted? I just didn't catch that part.
So allow them to modify them to be straight. I believe they're 8x8 posts.
Yeah.
Instead of the tapered columns, and they still have the same. The brick is going to remain at the base, but that they require them to be painted.
I'm just curious, why is that? Why painted as opposed to unpainted? I'm not really clear what the distinction is there.
Sure. And again, this was trying to the master plan community, without any specifics in the master planning. I was really looking at the consistency with the rest of the neighborhood in terms of the neighborhood compatibility element of the general plan. And there's no other unpainted wood columns in the neighborhood, and also there's no other unpainted elements on the home itself. And so for internal consistency as well as within the neighborhood. But of course, that is certainly something that could be discussed by the ZDRB.
Along those same lines, is the brick then painted as well?
No, the brick is not proposed to be painted on that elevation that was submitted.
Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying.
All right. Are there any other questions of Carrie? No. And would the applicant like to say anything?
My husband and I are excited to be in this community, and
Made up, yeah.
We'll just make for the audience at home.
Thank you. Oh, and you can state your name. And
Yes, please.
Griffin, and my husband is James Morgan, and we just love this community, and we're so excited to be here, and we plan on making this our permanent home. We live in Scottsdale right now, and we're just trying to make it what we want, and we're hopeful that we can get this done.
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any public comments? There isn't any public here. Did we have any public comments from that came in?
We've received no electronic public comment.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I have a question that applicant or architect.
Sure.
Just based on the renderings and those pictures that Carrie showed, it seems like the pitch of the roof is a lot steeper than existing. Okay, so that's just a CAD thing. Okay, that was my only question.
Excellent. All right. If there's no other comment or questions of the applicant or of staff, I guess we'll turn to discussion amongst ourselves. Anybody want to start?
I think it's time. I think it's a very 90s neighborhood, and it has retained that matching look, but I think it's okay to bring it up to current design standards. I think standing seam metal roofs are really nice. I think the changes are all good. I think as a board member, I appreciate that you've and the architect have taken time to update it, but make it still relevant to the neighborhood. I think that's really important. I have no problem if the design wanted to remain, the columns remain unpainted. It's a common thing these days, and I've seen it around Yountville in other neighborhoods. It's popped up in neighborhoods that were master plan developed too. So it's just a little personal touch of adding some raw wood. I'd be okay with that.
Great.
And that's my comments.
Yeah, I mean, I echo Member Cook's comments. I would say it's nice to be able to modernize within the context of the neighborhood. It makes sense to me. I mean, I was doing a bit of Google Map touring around, and there's a lot of actually variety. And I mean, totally subjectively, there are some houses with an absolute, it's almost like they had extra craftsman columns at the end of construction, so they just put them on a bunch of houses, because I was like, it feels like too many. But not all of them have the angled column. So to me, moving away from that isn't some sort of drastic conflict. I mean, I think the metal roof makes a lot of sense. It's actually much more fireproof, so it's highly recommended. I mean, on the painted columns, it's fairly subjective. I've seen them done unpainted, and it never quite works for me, because then all I just see is these wooden columns and nothing else really matches. That's a purely subjective thing. So I actually think the painting thing is not a bad idea for cohesiveness, especially especially based on how these are designed. So, but I wouldn't make it, too harsh a condition, other than I happen to agree with the aesthetic recommendation. So, but overall, nice opportunity to modernize the home, make it your own, and certainly appreciate the collaboration that we hopefully see here.
I was going to say that I think that the farmhouse vernacular is it really akin to the craftsman vernacular and very inherent to the way houses were built in Northern California for a long time. And had we been in an era of modern farmhouse back in 1990, there probably would have been some of those included in this development. So it doesn't feel that foreign to me. So I applaud the applicant for bringing it forward a bit, and I agree with my cohort on this board that it feels like it's a natural fit.
Just be careful, because after you do it, a lot of people start copying you. So
this is true.
Enjoy for a while being the only one that looks like this.
And having a standing seam roof, because we did it in an upgrade similar to this years ago, they show a lot of dirt. If you have a lot of trees, I haven't walked by the location. They get really dirty, and a dark might look dirty, but just take that into consideration from experience. Something I didn't expect.
Okay, thank you.
I concur. Depends on the color.
Yeah, and how many trees are around.
Anybody want to make a motion?
What do we want to say about the columns?
Is that the only condition? Can you pull up the previous conditions? I don't have them conveniently in front of me.
There were also conditions about the garage doors not being
yeah.
fully glazed and the front door not being fully glazed. But if the board would like to eliminate the condition requiring the columns to be painted, you're free to do so.
If those were altered by the applicant based on comments that they were getting from the department, is that something we need to consider, or is that something okay?
I think the condition on the garage door kind of makes sense. Might be a bit much for a whole glazed garage door. I don't see the condition for painting of the columns.
It's the third bullet.
Okay.
Not on the ones we have in our packet. That's what I was looking at. Sorry.
Yep.
So we've got the recommendation here. Exemption of CEQA. Approve the design with key conditions. The garage door shall be solid with a maximum of one panel of glazing. Front door, ditto that comment. Columns, whatever anyone wants to move, we can vote on that. I don't think it's that relevant myself. I think we're kind of all in unison on that.
I'll make a motion.
And if I may, to the board, we didn't actually include the columns because that was similar to the standing seam roof, a little bit something we wanted the ZDRB to review, and so that is not currently in the conditions of approval.
Yeah, after reviewing the conditions, you can approve as is, so the columns aren't in there.
Okay.
Along those lines, then, the front door. Is a fully glazed front door something you really wanted? Because I have seen those in town. It's not unusual for somebody to just put that in their front door. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I like what you have now, but okay.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I really am. I love both.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Okay, I would make a motion then to adopt resolution number 24-020 and the conditions of approval as listed, but with removing the requirement about painting the columns and leave that up to the homeowner.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Passes unanimously.
It's exciting.
Okay. The second item that was on on tonight's agenda has been postponed until our next meeting or a future meeting. So that moves on to administrative items. Do we have any administrative items? No? Okay. Staff and board reports.
One moment. Assistant Town Attorney Anderson? Just trying to be formal here. Do we need to take a vote to continue the item and take public comment on the item?
No, because I believe it technically was removed when we adopted the agenda.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a couple staff reports, if I
Great.
may.
Excellent.
Thank you.
One, I wanted to let you know that recruitments are out for the 2 vacant planning positions. We have quite a few applicants at this time, and we're hoping to do a preliminary review of those applications next week, with hopefully filling them come March. So fingers crossed for that. We have several things in the works for the ZDRB in 2025. We're going to be planning one-on-ones with myself and Town Manager Ralston with each of you in January. Kind of pick your brains a little bit. We'll have some questions for you that we can get you ahead of time as well. We have the Planning Commissioner Academy in Santa Rosa in March, and again, that'll be available to all of you. I believe that is March 5th through 7th. And then after that, this summer, we're going to be planning a half-day retreat that'll be facilitated with the ZDRB, myself, Town Manager Ralston, and hopefully a couple new
That's
employees.
the trip to Cabo?
Exactly. Yeah, trip to Cabo.
Good.
And then some point during the year, timing TBD, there will be several code amendments coming before the ZDRB, including ADU ordinance, continual state laws changing as far as ADUs goes. So will probably be a yearly thing going forward. And then we'll also be working on the tree ordinance, which I think will be obviously not a kind of a state mandated thing. It'll be more of a labor intensive discussion item for us. So I think there'll be a couple others too, but we'll see how it goes. So
Good. I've been wondering about that.
Yeah.
So it's on the radar.
Good.
When does the email announcement for enrollment to the academy come out? Is that
early January?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I haven't missed it. That's all I wanted to know.
No, you haven't
okay,
missed
good.
it. Yep.
Excellent. Anything else that we need to add? Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? I guess I just did.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Excellent.
Until next meeting. Thank you.
Thanks for the prep booklet. This is
Thank you,
very
Carrie.
great.